Hi, this is Mr. Payton. It's my next episode in my series on greatness. I wanted to take a moment out to give flowers to someone that is great in my opinion. And I know that there are many others who would agree with me on this. I'm going to start off by telling you a story. So I'm an educator. I've been a classroom teacher for a long time, been a counselor, worked in juvenile corrections, worked in group homes, all those kinds of things. But at one of my stops, I was at a K-6 school. And during that time, schools with kids that young usually don't have sports teams. And so I did two things at that school that I wanted to innovate. One was to start some support groups for kids who were struggling with different things, whether it be, broken homes, anger management, whatever. But I also started sports. And so I did flag football and basketball. And while doing that, we didn't have a gym or anything, so we would practice outside. So what would happen is all these cars of these parents would park along the side of the school and just watch me practice. And I got to tell you, they didn't know this, but I'm in my early 20s. I was completely intimidated by this because it's not like they dropped their kids off and left. They would just sit there. And they didn't come to the court. They didn't come engage me. They would just sit in the cars and watch. And so one of the parents that was sitting out there watching was, he was just watching. And so one day he finally walked out and says, Coach, I really appreciate your structure that you have in place and, just the way that you hold the kids accountable. I thanked him, didn't think anything of it. Fast forward years later, I'm now a high school coach, varsity high school coach, and look up in the stands, same gentleman. Says, you know what, Coach, man, you sure are doing a great job with these kids. You guys aren't winning a lot of games, but don't worry about it. They're going to really appreciate what you guys are doing. For whatever reason, I never thought to stop and talk to the guy. I don't know. I just thought, he was a really nice parent who appreciated what I was doing. Several years after that, now I'm not coaching anymore. I'm just going to games just to stay around the game because I love the game of basketball. And I decided to sit next to him this time and sit and talk. Come to find out, this man is an activist. He's an artist. And his background is just like, it's everything that I ever thought I wanted to be a part of. I mean, he had been part of several different movements, both here in Arizona, where I'm from, and in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois. And so I'm sitting here talking to this guy. We must have talked for about an hour. We were watching his son, the kid I had been coaching, watching his son play in high school. And we're just talking. Game was over. His son jumped on the bus and rode home with all the kids. That's what kids do. Their parents are there. And we talked a little longer. And I said, man, I'd love to just sit down and talk with you more. He's like, sure. He invites me over to his facility where he's doing a lot of his work, like advocacy for racial injustice and helping young people who are disenfranchised and things like that. And I told him, I said, man, all this time you've been just watching me, and in silent support of what I'm doing. He says, man, I appreciate what you were doing. So as I had come to know him, I started to watch him. I started to go to some of his events and started getting involved in some of the things that he was doing. And of all the things that he's done, from working with the Nation of Islam to being a part of Black empowerment in Illinois, and then coming to Arizona, working in South Phoenix, I just thought, man, I want to be seen the way this guy is seen. The thing, though, that really put it all together for me was the fact that I had worked with and grown up around his children as well. And he has, a large family, talking about his kids that he has. But the three I got to know the best were Kalila, Rasul, and Ned. And Rasul was my former athlete. Kalila and Ned I met through working in Parks and Recreation. And they were both feisty. We all had strong wills, and we all wanted to do the best for the kids at the community center we were working at. And it's weird. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but when you meet people who are related and you realize they're related, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense now. And that's kind of what it was. It was a moment like that for me. And his greatest contribution, whether people see it this way or not, to me, is him being a father and being an available mentor. as a young man, an African-American man in Phoenix, that is difficult to find. Anybody that's from Arizona knows what I'm talking about. It's hard to get black people to even talk to each other, let alone someone as accomplished as he was to take the time out to talk to someone younger who was up and coming like I was. He has remained a friend and a mentor to this day. And I just thought as I was talking about greatness that I should bring him up. His name is Rod Ambrose. And Mr. Ambrose, if you ever see this, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a wonderful example of a father that I could look at as I'm a young father now. Thank you for being supportive of what I was trying to do as a young educator. Thank you for sacrificing your time and giving to efforts and programs that are trying to make people and the world at large better. And I also want to say, because I would be remiss if I didn't do this, thank you to Mama Ambrose for allowing us, for sharing Rod with us, for just allowing him to be out doing what he's doing. There is no such thing as a great man without a great woman. And so, Mr. Ambrose, I want to thank you for everything you've done. You are definitely someone who has inspired me. You are great at so many things, but for me, your greatness was your time. You made time for me whenever I called, whenever I sent an email, whenever I wanted to talk to you. You made time for your kids. You made time for the things that were important, and that does not go unnoticed by me. I know how busy things can be when you're trying to work with people and accomplish things and dedicate it to a cause. So to say that you thought me, Sebastian Payton, was important enough to give some time to, I'll never forget that, and I make sure I try to model that as well. So there are those out there who know that if they call or if they reach out to me that I'll make time available. This is the reason why. It's because someone did that for me. So again, I want to give flowers to Mr. Rod Ambrose. And I want to say thank you, sir, for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. May God bless you, and I'm glad that you are in my life. To everyone out there, thank you.